what's the one thing that has consistently been the obstacle to a ceasefire? Well, it's the United States, obviously, and its position at the Security Council. So it all comes down, no matter which way you come at it, the conclusion is that the stumbling block for peace is the United States. It's the stumbling block for a settlement to the Palestinian issue, and it has been for at least 75 years. If you're concerned about the situation in Gaza and you're concerned about the situation overall in the Middle East, then there's no way to avoid. I mean, anything else, any other issue that you want to focus on in this regard is a subsidiary issue to the reality that the United States is enabling this conflict to continue. So it should be, and the only appropriate thing, in my view, is for this to be at the top of the agenda, of the pro-Palestine agenda, is to call for the expulsion of the United States from the UN. So the first phase of that is going to have to be on the grassroots level, and we need to see this call being made at every pro-Palestine rally that takes place anywhere in the world. This is the obvious first thing that has to be established, in my opinion. If there's any hope whatsoever of a peace agreement or a settlement ever being negotiated through the UN, then it has to be done in the absence of the United States. There's not another way to do it. Otherwise, the United Nations itself has to be completely removed from the scenario with regards to the peace process in Gaza and the peace process in Palestine, which I think is the direction that BRICS is moving anyway, to basically set up a parallel structure of countries in the global south that can operate free from the very controlled system of the United Nations, the US controlled system of the United Nations. So in other words, if you want the United Nations to have any relevance and to in any way whatsoever represent the people of the world, then the only way for that to happen is for the United States to not be there. This is part of this has to do with trying to coordinate with existing agendas within different power structures and power players. And as you mentioned, China has put forward the idea of an international peace conference, and that has been endorsed. The idea has been endorsed by Saudi Arabia. It was endorsed by Russia, I believe. And we can assume that this is a overall BRICS project, and the way that they would like for this to move. By advocating for the removal of the United States from the UN, we are essentially, in an indirect way, throwing our support behind the idea of an international peace conference, which I think is ultimately what will happen. But it's just a way of supporting removing the peace process from the hands of the United States. It's also the necessary tone and the necessary posture to take, particularly at this time when they are literally preventing a genocide from being halted. The global feeling is one of hostility towards the position that the United States has taken at the UN, and it should be punished for that. And the desire for the punishment should be expressed. Whether or not that results in any punishment for the United States or not, that's a different issue. But this is a way to mobilize people's sentiment towards a goal that then pushes us in a direction that we need to go for isolating America from having this position of global dominance.
No
But
problem.
the same thing as the sentiment that Joe has is a sentiment that many people will have, which is, let's find a better way. Okay, well, no one is even asking that question until you threaten the idea of the expulsion. No one will even have that discussion. But once you bring up the issue of expulsion, then everyone starts to think, well, let's find a better way. Okay, well, that's what we want, is a better way. But there's no way to even start that discussion until you call for expulsion.